So you can see that the water's been well absorbed in the dough as it sat under refrigeration. It's very cold. Ideally, again, it's resting for 4 hours to overnight. Allows the gluten to relax, the water to distribute fully. And I want to work with this dough very cold. So I have 18 ounces here, which is ideal for lining a quarter sheet pan. To keep my parchment paper from slipping around, I'm going to just spray an X with pan spray before I line it. And I'm dusting my dough and my board with bread flour. I want to keep my dough moving on the board so I don't end up with it stuck anywhere. Applying very even pressure as I roll out, never rolling over the sides of the dough. And dusting only as much as I need to, so I really haven't used very much flour at all. I don't want there to be unincorporated flour on the surface of my dough, otherwise it'll end up tasting pasty and starchy in the finished product. I'm going to roll this out quite thin. I want it to be about a 1/16 of an inch thick. And I'll check it for size before I move it into my pan. And when I'm confident I have it at the right size, I'll just roll it over the rolling pin, deposit it into the pan, and short doughs like to shrink, so I want to make sure that I'm really draping this well into the corners of the pan so I don't run into problems with shrinkage. So I lift the dough slightly, and I use the sides of my fingers to press it well into the corners, making sure I'm draping it into position rather than pulling it into position. Now I'm going to trim off my excess. I'm going to use my rolling pin to do that. I'm angling it outward toward the edge of the sheet pan, and that's creating a nice seal on the edge here so the dough has something to grab onto. For serving, I always trim away the excess dough that's on the sides, but I want to have that dough here so that the Florentine batter itself doesn't overflow and create a soggy bottom underneath my dough. I'm going to take this now, and ideally I'm going to refrigerate it for an hour before I bake it, again allowing the gluten an opportunity to relax and the butter an opportunity to refirm. After it's been chilled, I'll blind bake it. I'm going to par bake the short dough now for the Florentine bar. I don't dock this dough before baking it because the filling thins out so much. Again, it's going to run under the short dough and it won't give that nice textural contrast. Instead, I'm just going to line it with parchment and I'm going to fill it with pie weights. So these are just dried beans that have been baked over and over and over again. We use them for par baking all of our short doughs. I'm going to put this in the oven. I'm going to bake it at 400 degrees for about 12 to 15 minutes or until no glossiness remains on the dough itself.